Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. And if it's sunshiny where you are, I hope you're able to get out and enjoy some of that sunlight. I was out earlier, that's why my glasses are still tinted. I wanted to get on though and talk about how to reclaim your self confidence or regain your self confidence after you've been cheated on. And I feel like a lot of my clients who come to me who've been cheated on and had that broken trust tend to focus more on, the fact that the trust has been broken and how to recreate that safety and that foundation of trust within the relationship. And they don't often recognize what it's done to their self-esteem and what it's done to their self-confidence, and that needs to be part of their healing journey so that it's not just about the fact that it wrecked the sense of safety that you have in your relationship. It also rocked your self-esteem and had you wondering, what's wrong with me and why wasn't I enough? And then if there, you're comparing yourself to another person, and maybe you're finding fault in yourself in comparing, and wondering, like, do they find that more attractive and whatever. And that can really leave you sort of stuck in that place of always wondering. And for the people I've worked with whose relationship has been repaired through, the work and therapy and whatnot, part of the journey for them was doing that individual work and how it impacted the feelings of self-worth, and that's on both sides, right? So for the person who's cheated, there's some work that needs to be done on, sort of what led them to that kind of action, and and their feelings about themselves, about the whole process and the whole scenario. So that needs to be dealt with. But from the person's standpoint of having been cheated on, if you're choosing to stay in that relationship with the person that cheated on you, then it's important to do the work on your self-esteem and on your self-confidence, so that you're not always wondering, am I enough? Right? Because when you're coming from that place of wondering, am I enough, and worrying, am I enough, it's keeping you from being your authentic self, right? So I've talked about this before in other talks that I've had on here about our human need for connection will often have us acting in inauthentic ways. And this plays out a lot in these types of scenarios, because the person who's been cheated on is left wondering, even if, questions have been asked and answered, there's still going to be that niggling, in the back of your mind, am I enough? Right? So that is, and that's not something that someone else can necessarily assure you of when that feeling is deep down inside of you, right? So your partner, and if they've cheated on you and you've decided as a couple that you're going to work through this, you're going to stay together, you're going to do whatever it takes to save the relationship, then your partner will have to do certain things to rebuild that safety and rebuild that connection and assure you that you are the one that they want. But there's times when that person, no matter how much assurance they give, to the person who's been cheated on, until they heal those parts of themselves that feel unworthy, and until they kind of reconnect with that authentic part of themselves that really truly knows that they're worthy, they're going to be left wondering. So as part of the work that we do in healing from, being cheated on, or having been in a relationship that was toxic and left us feeling like we weren't enough, the work that we need to do is, multi-pronged and multifaceted. It's not just a one and done, right? So part of the work in repairing a relationship where there's been infidelity is, obviously creating that safety again, creating the communication that's needed to have, tough conversations, getting to the root of what each individual was experiencing and feeling and dealing with throughout the relationship that led to that point. And then also within themselves, getting to a place where they feel whole, where there's been a sense of integration of all of the pain and the grief and sadness and all of those things. When the integration has happened, then the two people who are choosing to stay in that relationship are not the same people if they're doing that work, because it's going to take a lot, but it's doable and it's achievable. But I think you need to go into the process knowing that it's going to take, resources from many different places, and you're going to have to avail yourselves of different skills and resources to repair your relationship, but not just repair your relationship. So that shouldn't be the only goal, because it's still just, it leaves out the fact that there are two injured, hurt people that need to have some healing in order to be able to reconnect and to acquire those skills and to learn how to communicate better and learn how to, meet each other's needs, right? So in order to be able to do that kind of work, we need to deal with the pain inside of each person to the extent where they can actually engage in these other resources, right? So that's where the therapy comes in. And I hear a lot from people who come to me, and they know that they can only work on themselves in therapy, and yet they still come, and they're often like, and my partner won't do therapy, and my partner won't do this, and my partner won't do that. And in those cases, all I can say is you can only work on yourself. But you can also set a boundary that if your partner's unwilling to do certain things and work towards, a growth, and evolution in your relationship, then you're entitled to set those boundaries and to hold them, right? And to expect that your partner is going to engage in the relationship in a way that's going to build a healthier relationship going forward. So if they're not willing to do that, that doesn't mean that you don't still engage in the work yourself. But what you might find is that as you engage with the work yourself, if your partner's not willing to meet you halfway or part of the way, you might find that you're not willing to work with that person to heal and integrate those things. You might have to do that work just on your own, but not on your own, right? So that's the thing, and that's where therapy can help. So it begins with you. Whether they join in and get on board is up to them. We can't control them. And I've said this a million times, and I'll say it again. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So work on yourself. Recognize that it's going to take more than just, one little change, or if they would just do this, if they would just do that, or not do this. They may or may not change, but what can change is you, and you recognizing your own worth, and you getting in touch with your authentic self, because that's where true confidence comes from. When we're able to act from our authentic place within us, that's true confidence. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.